Welcome back to Morning Express this Friday morning. It's time for our second conversation on the program this morning with focus on the Federal Capital Territory. This is in line with the recent budget defense by the FCT Minister Barrister Nyesom Wike, the budget of 1.78 trillion naira, and his intentions to prioritize 85% of that budget on project completions. However, during the budget defense, certain concerns were raised on the need for focus on human development and interventions. And whilst the proposal was to establish an IDP camp to tend to the issues of internally displaced persons and those who engage in some sort of street begging or scavenging, the minister dispelled this proposal, saying that it would only lead to Abuja becoming a stronghold for Boko Haram insurgents. Well, we'll take a listen to what the FCT minister said in a bit, but before we look at that, we would also take the expert opinions of a community developer in our studios this morning. We have Mr. Zaka Nehemiah. Good morning to you, Mr. Zaka Nehemiah, and welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning to you as well.
Yeah.
Now let's start with this issue. It's an issue that we've seen across major cities in Nigeria, not just Abuja, but in Lagos. In Lagos, we've seen a strict crackdown on enforcement on not just street beggars, but those who are seamlessly homeless, sleeping on the bridges and other public infrastructure. I know the human side to us that shows empathy would be, oh, can the government find some sort of housing like we see in other climes where the government takes up responsibility for these persons? But putting the FCT into context, especially with its peculiar security challenges, how do we approach the situation of street begging? Rehabilitate or relocate?
Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, my people at the FCT. This is one of the most sensitive questions to ask. First of all, what we need to look at, to understand the whole context. The street beggars, first is, who are they? That's the first question. Then the second question is that, where are they coming from? Where are they coming from? And if you're able to answer this, you now establish where are they staying before coming out to say, okay, we're on street to beg. Now, after all this, you now ask, who are these beggars? Beggars are people who are homeless, who are out on street begging for money and food on daily basis. Abuja is a cosmopolitan city that shoulder Mr. President, the National Assembly, and almost all Nigerians. Now, the question was established by Senator Ndume. When I listened to Ndume's presentation, I was a bit disappointed, because Senator Ndume...
Why so? Disappointed in his statement or the angle of the conversation?
In his angle of conversation. Ndume has been a senator that Nigerians are always proud of. Now, when he was making that presentation, he forgot that he was no longer a senator. He was more of a State House of Assembly member that legislates for FCT, not a national budget. This budget was for FCT per se. So, whatever thing that happened in National Assembly concern FCT. The senator, the House of Rep, they are more like FCT State Assembly members. So there are a lot of issues in the FCT than all these street beggars. If you look at the history of Nigeria, you look at, there are other ministry that should be in charge of people
of humanitarian
affairs. We have Ministry of Education. We have Northeast Development Commission. We have Northwest Development Commission. These are places these people are coming from. What are the state governors doing in their own end? Now, these people, they see a trailer who is coming to Abuja or going to South. They jump in and dropped in Abuja. There is no address. They cannot be traced. They are not profiled. And looking at Abuja, it has so many other security issues, a lot of social vices. Recently, from last year to early this year, you could see that Abuja was engulfed in so much security issues. Almost all the villages were almost taken over by bandits. Now you begin to ask yourself, where are they coming from? Go to Area 1 Bridge. You will see that 90% of people that are there, these people are not being profiled. They are not doing anything. They are more of street beggars. When you park your car, more than 10 of them will come and enter your car. Who are they? The question is that these people are not security men. They are all admirals. They are not under transport union at all. And where are they from? 90% of them are from Borno State, Goza.
Now, Mr. Nehemiah, before you go further, for the benefit of our viewing audience and public, we'll take a listen to the debate by Senator Aline Dume, who was part of the National Assembly committee at the budget defense, where he made the case for the street beggars and the need to build an IDP camp in the FCT to sort of rehabilitate them. And we'll also listen to the response given to him by the FCT minister before we take more positions from Mr. Nehemiah. Take a listen.
It's about the indigent or the displaced persons roaming in Abuja. It is not enough as Nigerians driving them, arresting them. What you need to do is to do what the Kano state government did as far back as in the 70s. That is picking the indigents, if you know, and you have a camp where you can feed and train them.
This federal capital territory, the way Kano, the way Rivers, the way Sokoto, the way Ondo will not be the same way that will happen in the FCT. Those they are talking about, they are not indigenous. They are not indigenous. People come from everywhere to just talk about the whole of FCT. And you are saying that because we should that people, if they have work, it's not correct. That those who believe that they will continue to beg.
Now, listening to the position of the FCT minister, he talks about it from an angle of a psychological perspective. That most of these persons who engage in scavenging, begging, most of them are able-bodied people. No matter the intervention you give, some of them have just chosen it as a way of life. How do we respond to this notion and mindset of some individuals who see megacities as lucrative ventures to result in begging as a means of livelihood?
Well, just as our minister have said, he speak as a nationalist, as somebody who is federal, as somebody who understands the system of governance. And if you look at what he has been doing for the past 1 year, you should see that this man is ready not just to govern, but to take leadership of Abuja. If you look at this minister, he's not a northerner. He is from south, not just from southern part of Nigeria. But if you look at what he has done in just last 1 year, you understand that this guy has come to develop the northern part of Nigeria. Now, the issue of beggars in FCT, with the approach of the FCT minister, arrest them, send them back to where they are coming from. It's the best approach. Because if you are driving from, let's say, Aso Drive to Airport Road, all those manholes has been removed. And there are a lot of accidents on daily basis. It happens last week. There's somebody who fell inside the manhole when it was raining. And he got injured. Up to date, he's still in the National Hospital. There is a prominent person in the last administration, while he was driving to airport, he had an accident. Up to now, he's still bedwetting in hospital. So this issue of beggars does not have place in FCT. Just as ministers have said, these are not indigenous people. So whatever thing in Dume or every other senator should be talking about is what can we do for the people of FCT not beggars. You have people whose land are being taken over on daily basis. They are being pushed aside. Ndume is not talking about them. These are people they should try and resettled. These are people that government should try and provide a farm reserve for them.
Now just this also brings to mind statements of another senator, Senator Nwebonyi, went viral on social media. Nigerians have been reacting to a motion he moved on the floor of the Senate, talking about his view when landing in the airport at Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport in Abuja, and some of those indigenous people around the airport settlements. He was proposing that they come up with a bill to relocate them or something, and the Senate President responded and said, these are indigenous people, they cannot be moved like that. I don't know if you caught eye of that viral clip and care to make any comments in that regard.
Yes, I have come across and I have watched it over and again. I went back to look at the history of that senator. Where is it coming from? Does he have a village? Did he fall from heaven and landed in Abuja? Or he's coming from somewhere? I understand that, yes, he's coming from Ebonyi State. And Ebonyi State, the worst village in Abuja is the best village in Ebonyi State, where he is coming from. So that was an insensitive statement coming from a distinguished senator. Talking about you descending or ascending from an aeroplane to airport, you don't want to see indigenous people's community. That is an insensitive statement. Even in London, there are communities. Even in the US, there are communities. These are indigenous people, for God's sake, who have sacrificed, who have sacrificed their land for the unity of this nation. Now, if you are moving them to where? Because every place in FCT is going to be developed. Where are you moving them? Do you want to extend them? The answer is no. I was expecting the senator to talk about integration. How do we integrate these people so that they can live as women? So that, what we have done over past is that privileged Nigerians has made others feel, especially minority tribe, feel as if they are less human. And it shouldn't be. The constitution is so clear that we are all equal in the eyes of law. You privileged being a senator today does not mean somebody from that airport road will not be a senator tomorrow. What happened? So, what I want Nigerians, especially our distinguished senators who are lawmakers, let them be more national. Let them be more human.
Now, Mr. Nehemiah, as you were talking, this brings to mind this issue of marginalization you've raised. Over time in Nigeria, there are certain regions who feel like they have to sacrifice either ancestral land or the resources found in those regions for the betterment of Nigeria as a collective entity. But those developmental strides do not directly translate to the betterment of the region. Using Abuja as a case study, where now we have even indigents complaining about these issues, do you have any solutions to prefer as to how this integration you speak about can birth a sense of belonging and some sense of compensation for whatever they have had to sacrifice for the betterment of Nigeria?
Well, the truth is not far-fetched. The capital city was moved from Lagos to Abuja. If you look at the history of Lagos, what was done in Lagos and what is being done in Abuja, they are two different issues. The land of indigenous people in Lagos was not taken over. Rather, it was integrated. The people of Lagos were integrated. And that law has not changed. So it can be applicable to the people of FCT. And in a nutshell, why not democratize FCT? We can have two areas of governance in FCT. We can have capital federal territory, which is FCC. And we can have a state, because it is already there. We have one senator, we have 2 House of Rep, we have 6 local government already established. And we have a current bill that is ongoing. I think it's now on second reading, that to establish FCT state assembly. So we are getting there. It's just the political will that is hindering the proper integration of FCT. When we are having capital in Lagos, there was state and there was federal capital in Lagos. So it can be done in FCT and all this issue will be solved. The mayor or the governor can take care of the 6 area council, integrate the local communities, and the other ministry, which is Federal Capital Territory, can take charge under the FCDA, which is FCT, Federal Capital Territory Development Authority. That will be in charge of developing the city center, while the mayor or the governor can develop the other satellite towns of Abuja. It's as simple, and everybody will live at peace. Everybody will have sense of belonging. Look at what's happening in Niger Delta. There was so much agitation in Niger Delta. Why? Because their resources were being taken over. Now, what is the differences? Because the resources of FCT, of the FCT indigenous people, is the land. So what was done in Niger Delta and what is happening in FCT, that of FCT is being worse. Because in Niger Delta, your land was not taken over. What they are doing is that they come and source out your natural resources and give you your land back. But FCT, your land is being taken over forever. Even your children will not have access to that land again. Now, if you look at the FCT as a whole, the communities that are now in city center, how many are they? Mabushi are not sitting, their land is not up to 5 to 10 hectares. Then you come to Gariki, where they are sitting currently is not up to 5 to 10 hectares. You go to Jabi, all these small communities where they are sitting in combination is not up to 50 hectares. But you and I wake up in Abuja here, you see somebody having a land worth 100 hectares. Because he's more privileged than the other. Why? It shouldn't be. So, going forward, what government needs to do is political will. Let them democratize FCT. Let FCT, a lot of Supreme Court judgment have said it, that FCT is a state and should not just be political, because pronouncement by a Supreme Court, it is final. 2, West African courts have also said it, that FCT should be treated as a state, not an FCT. It should be treated as a state.
Now, in keeping with some of these brilliant ideas you've put on the table, is the challenges with human capital development towards community approaches of bettering the lives of people and their livelihood, particularly the case of the FCT now. With the 1.78 trillion budget on the table, the minister has talked about the need to complete projects, some of them dating back to 1 decade or 2 decades ago, that were approved and awarded, but up until his administration has seen the light of day. He intends to use 85% of the 1.78 trillion naira for project completions. Does this in some way better the quest for human capital development, or bring about some relief to the 6 area councils in terms of their community needs?
Let me commend the current minister of FCT, because he has done well. When he was commissioning his first year in office, I was privileged to follow up all the commission process. I was in Abaji, I was in Kwali, I was in Kuje, I was in Buari, and I was in Amak. I follow up all the commissioning of projects. Let me tell you, in the history of FCT, there have never been a minister that is so passionate about developing not just the city center,
but adjoining area councils, like
the current minister. Let me give you an example. If you visit Pape, from Pape to Galawi, from Galawi to Shere, from Shere to Kau, this road hosts more than 10 to 20 communities. And it's more like the food hub of Abuja, not just Buari Area Council. When Bala Mohammed was a minister, this road was awarded. That was like 2012. This road was awarded. When Jonathan was given his scorecard, that road was mentioned that it was 90 to 100% completed. And what they did from Durumi to like 1 or 2 kilometers, they went there and tied the road. When Jonathan was to go there, he used a helicopter. He went to that center, just like 2 kilometers or thereabout, and commissioned that road. But as a journalist, that road up to today is still there.
Uncompleted.
Uncompleted. The road was further awarded during Mohammed Bello, the recent minister that was there for 8 years. That road, nothing was done. From Pape to Galai, from Gali to Shere to Kao. That road is still there. It's about 19 kilometers. But with the coming of the current minister, you can see that there is a road from Yangoji to Yeutu. That road is more than 20 kilometers. Within 1 year, it was completed. You talk of Gomani Road in Kwali, it was completed. You talk of another road now that is going from Pai Junction to Pai, I think it's going to Niger State through La Pai, is almost at the completion level. You go to Buari, from Wushapa, all those roads have been opened and they will be completed soon. You talk of from Buari to Toklo, from Toklo, he has re-awarded a road from Toklo to Kao, and it's almost at the completion. Then you talk of the city here, you go to Kabusa, to Keti, from Keti to Takushara, and there is another road that is coming from Gaube through Kuje to Link, and this other Apo Wasa to Karishi. I was privileged while I was driving to Karishi just last week. I saw minister driving towards this Wasa road. He busted at Karishi and he drive back to town. So the current minister is not just focusing on the city alone. All these roads that I mentioned, they are in satellite towns. These are places, communities that have never imagined that in the next 10 years they are going to see road. But currently projects are being going on. So it has given us sense of belonging that yes, government knows that yes, there are original inhabitants of FCT. Unlike before, when Mohammed Bello was here for 8 years, we never see 1 kilometer road in any area council. It was more of city, and that of city were all abandoned.
Now, the performance of former Minister Mohammed Bello, there have been divided opinions. Some are saying that since those contracts were approved and awarded and funds disbursed at some point, that there needs to be some financial committee set up to probe the activities of his administration while in office. Do you support that? Would it bet any results, or should we move on now that there seems to be a messiah in the FCT minister by Senyeson Wike?
No, what happened between the difference between Mohammed Bello administration and Wike administration is just will. What we have in Mohammed Bello administration was when contracts are being awarded, mobilization is being paid. People move to site, but there was not monitoring to either see either the work is going on or not. So, and there was not contract timeline that yes, if you are to construct this road, this is 10 kilometers road, what is the agreement? Is it 18 months? Are you giving us your word that you will finish this road in 18 months? Now, in this administration, when you are being awarded a contract, you are asked, can you finish this road in 10 months? And the agreement will be signed. While in Bello's time, there was no agreement. So after giving mobilization, you can decide to stay for 2 years. You come back.
Grade.
You said no. Because you understand, let's upgrade. The things in the markets have increased. We need to revaluation. And at that point, the minister will feel no. If this road was awarded for 10 billion and you are now asking for 20 billion, what is the justification? So he will back down. While at this essence, the current minister, he is so firm. He give you a contract of 10 million. Will you finish in 10 months? I don't want to see you. Go and finish the road and you have your money. And he's always on the road. He can visit you in 1 week more than 2 times to make sure there is progress. While in the other administration, after awarding of contract, there was no monitoring by the head of the administration. So it was not like, so there was this issue of budget performance and budget not being performed. What we had in the last administration, that budget was always performing at 30%, sometimes 20%. And in capital expenditures, it was always at 20%. But right now, what we are having is that we are having 100% performance of the budget.
Now let's look at recurrent expenditures, because even as his time as minister, talking about Barrister Nyesom Wike, there have been some hurdles with recurrent strikes in the education and health sectors. Resident doctors in the FCT, warning strike, embarked on strike. Teachers in primary schools, warning strike, embarked on strikes. He responding to this has also faulted some of the staffs under the FCDA as being culpable in some of the issues that they have had. How do you adjudge this pass of blame or bulk of blame being shared under the FCDA and the minister's table in regards to the strikes in education and health?
Well, it's so unfortunate that we are at this crossroad, because even at the area council level, the primary school teachers are also on strike. The primary health teachers are also on strike. It's so unfortunate, but I pray that they come into agreement. The issue of recurrent performance in this administration, we boil it down to, FCT is being perceived as, in one way, as a state, and the other way is being perceived as a ministry under federal government. If you look at what's happening in other states, the issue of minimum wage have not been paid, though there have been pronouncements. While in some federal agencies, payment have started, while in some, they have not started. I may not have so much detail on this. Why is it so? Because if you are always conversant with the Federal Executive Council, you will notice that, yes, the federal allocation have increased, not just to the state, but the federal ministry, which I think under this leadership of FCT minister, he has prioritized more of capital project per se than the welfare of the staff. Why do I say so? Because if you look at the hospital staff going on strike, you look at the education, though I have witnessed a kind of maintenance project on some of our secondary school, which are still capital projects. So his budget has had more of 90% of capital expenditure than recurrent. And I wish that going forward, so that it can be 50-50. What he has looked at, that he came to a city, so a city that is supposed to be competing with what city? Because Nigeria,
in terms of the Abuja master plan,
I think that is where he's concerned. It is.
But even keeping with that master plan, I know I've spoken to a few indigenes of Abuja. The concern has been on primary healthcare coverage. Some of the primary healthcare centers are sparsely distributed amongst the 6 area councils, and in terms of interconnecting roads linking some communities, in terms of access to these healthcare centers, there's still that challenge. Do you think that's another area of improvement that should be looked at?
What I have been expecting in this administration is that they should be able to complement each other. For the fact that a minister is constructing roads in all the area council, it has lessened the burden of the area council chairman. Do you understand? It has lessened the burden from them. So what I have been expecting from the other agencies is to complement each other. The issue of primary school teachers being on strike is needless. Now, if minister is constructing road in Kwali, 10 kilometers, not just in one place, he's doing 2 or 3 roads in a particular, it has, it's more like a shadow. It has covered you as a leader of that place. What your focus should be is on the welfare of your people. So what is lacking in this current administration is that they are not ready to complement each other. Because if minister is doing A, B, C, you as a local government chairman should also be doing D, F.
Now, I will bring this to the political calculations, because we've also seen some defections of certain chairmen in the area councils here in the FCT. It's now more or less PDP versus APC. And many are saying that the performance of this minister, despite being a PDP member, more or less gives APC a head start going into the elections at the area council level and even into 2027. What are some of your projections as to how this performance translates to party politics going forward in the area councils and in 2027?
Well, we don't need to forget that the FCT minister is a PDP member as it stands today, working under APC administration at the federal level. He has not defected to APC yet. And he has not said so yet. The performance of FCT minister currently has changed the perception of the people, especially in FCT. We have had FCT that indicates where a sitting government has not won election in FCT because of lack of performance. This is a satellite town. This is a city that shoulder almost people who are educated, people who know their right. Even at the local government level, if you look at the election that is being conducted in FCT, is always different with the challenge that happened at state level. The election in FCT is being conducted by the national INEC, and it's always like a peace setter to a national election. So everything about FCT has always been different before now. But with the performance of the current minister, I believe it has changed the perception of the people about party affiliation. He is doing that not as an APC minister, but rather as a federal minister, someone who is national, someone who is federal. Now, I am not sure that after his 4 years as a minister, he's going to live in Abuja. He may decide to go back to Port Harcourt. But he's doing it, yes, because he has the political will. He feels Abuja should compete with cities like London, Washington, and other cities in the world. Abuja has a great master plan. Abuja is not, the landmark is not as big as that of Niger State. It's just a city that has been designed that if we have a minister who is serious, in the next 8 years, Abuja can be properly developed to compete with the other city. So the defection of people to APC is being projected with the performance of the FCT minister.
Well, I must thank you, Mr. Zaka Nehemiah, for sharing your thoughts with us quite brilliantly in reaction to developments in the FCT and the 1.78 trillion naira budget as defended by the minister. We appreciate you.
Thank you.